Alright, I'm Jeremy Dower, and this is my fifth attempt at recording my history presentation. I hope there are no more microphone problems. So here we go. This is my final history presentation, or my pseudo-POL, and I'm going to be presenting 5 pivotal events and explaining why they were pivotal events. So my first event was my pivotal event from the Life Moves Pretty Fast project, and that event was taking Taekwondo last summer. In my timeline, I wrote it was pivotal, first of all, because it taught me how to defend myself. Before Taekwondo, I would have been mostly helpless if I was attacked, but I think now I would at least have a fighting chance. Haha. But more importantly, it was what finally got me into shape after many years of being borderline overweight. After taking Taekwondo for just a few months, I was changed because I felt like I was in shape for once in my life. So yes, last summer I took Taekwondo 2 times a week, and all the exercise really got me into shape, and I slimmed out and I got a little muscle, and it felt pretty good to not be the little short overweight guy. My next event is my historical pivotal event, which is the Columbine shooting of 1999. This was a school shooting. A pair of teenage shooters killed 12 students and 1 teacher, one of the deadliest massacres ever at an American school. And this was pivotal because it affected my generation in the way that we react to disasters. After this event, all the schools for my generation, they developed plans to deal with these school shooters. And I took a little picture of this poster in Mr. P's classroom, and it says, in case of emergency, call 911, run, hide, and fight. Now, the reason that we have this paper on the wall is because of events like the Columbine shooting and the Sandy Hook shooting. All these shootings, they have us prepared today. And they're the reason that we have these plans. And because of the events in the past, my generation is now prepared to deal with those same disasters. My perfect storm historical event was Consequences of the Black Death, which took place around the 1300s, mid-1300s. And the Black Death was this plague that killed 60% of the European population. And after 60% of Europe's population died, there were a lot of job openings. And when all these jobs opened up, a lot of the young and poor Englishmen, they got new jobs. Now, if the jobs were not open, they would have likely became indentured servants in North America, because the plantation owners in North America need indentured servants to do their work for them and harvest cotton, tobacco, cash crops. But because these workers had jobs in England, they did not become indentured servants, and there were fewer indentured servants coming to North America, which means that the plantation owners need someone else to do their work for them. So this was one of the pivotal events that led to North Americans leaning towards black chattel slavery instead of using white indentured servants. It's because there weren't any more indentured servants. My American Revolution event was the Boston Massacre. Now, in the Boston Massacre, 1770, British soldiers killed 5 American colonists and injured 6 others. This event made colonists wary of British soldiers, and it heightened tensions between the colonists and the British soldiers. So, the soldiers shot at the colonists. The colonists did not like this. It was most likely accidental, but the colonists didn't know that, so they became very afraid of the British soldiers, because they thought that if the British could shoot, if the British can shoot those colonists, why can't they shoot us? Like, we can't be safe around them. The soldiers were there to protect the colonists, but the colonists were not feeling protected because, some colonists just got shot. So it was pivotal because it made the Americans very uncomfortable around the British, and it kind of pushed them towards not wanting the British there anymore and becoming independent. My historical event, which led to dissolution of the U.S. in 1861, was the book Uncle Tom's Cabin. Now, this book was very important because it was written in 1852 by Harriet Beecher Stowe, and the contents of the book showed cruel white slave owners mistreating a family of black slaves. And in the book, the family of slaves is torn apart and mistreated, and the slave owners are very cruel people, as I understand it. So this book dehumanized slave owners, which are also Southerners. So it made them seem like these cruel people who didn't care about other slaves, and they seemed kind of like they were demonized, dehumanized, and it made the North think that the South were not very good people. And what the book also did was it humanized slaves, because the book talks about how they were a family and the family was split apart. And this helped the Northerners realize that the black slaves were not like animals to be used for work, they were actually people, and they deserved to be treated like that. So this also divided the North and South, because this made the North dislike the South because of the way the book said the Southerners were acting. The Northerners thought that the Southerners were like cruel slave masters. And the South didn't like the North after this book because the book was written by a Northerner and it depicted Southerners very unfavorably. So after this book was written, both the North and South didn't have a very strong liking towards each other, and they kind of felt like splitting apart, which is what they tried to do. And that's the last event I have. I'm going to go ahead and upload this to YouTube. Have a nice Christmas break.